Thanks for sitting down with us.
It's my pleasure.
Great. But my first question is, you've been a legislator. You were a legislator for about 20 years before you were mayor, and you've been mayor for almost a decade now. So tell the people of Milwaukee why you should get 4 more years.
Well, I've been blessed throughout my career to be able to serve the people of Milwaukee in various positions. I started out in the State Assembly and served there for 5 years, and then the State Senate for about 3 years. I then spent 10 years in Congress in Washington, going back and forth every week between here and there. And for the last 8 years, I've really had the honor of being the mayor of the City of Milwaukee. So I've looked at life from all sides now, from the legislative vantage point at the local level, at the state level, at the federal level, and as an executive at the local level. And it has allowed me to put together a vision for where we should go as a city. And we've got a lot of challenges in the city, but we also have a lot of opportunities. And I'm very proud of some of the work that we have done. For example, if you look at the Menominee Valley, we've had a great success in the Menominee Valley. That's an area of the city where 5 years ago you literally needed an all-terrain vehicle to get from one end of the valley to the other end of the valley. And now we have many companies that are located there because we invested what we needed to invest for infrastructure. We've made it a very sustainable part of the city. And that's just an example of what happens when you work with people and you get things done. We're seeing the same type of success moving through the old Pabst site, where Joe Zilber thankfully reached out to the city and said that he wanted this to be his legacy project. And he has since passed, but we've worked very closely with the people who worked for him to continue to develop that. We also have our sites on the old Tower Automotive site, the A.O. Smith site, the 30th Street Industrial Corridor, and we're investing a lot of money there. The theme that all of these have in common is jobs, because I understand the challenge we've got in this community is we have to have more family supporting jobs. And that's what I want my focus to continue to be, is jobs. And so, I've been honored to serve this community and feel that I've got the track record and the vision to continue to serve the people of Milwaukee.
Great. I mean, that's a great look at the present. Last week we spoke with Edward McDonald, who is one of your opponents in this campaign. And just real briefly, what do you think about your opponents, and who do you think would be best to lead Milwaukee when there isn't a Mayor Barrett at some point in the future?
Well, I've had a chance to meet with him, and my view on elections is elections are a public job application process, and it's America, and people apply for jobs, and I understand that. And I've applied for jobs in the past, and everybody's applied for jobs. I think what's unusual about our electoral process is it is such a public job application process. And I think in terms of what the people of Milwaukee want, I think the people of Milwaukee do want someone who has the background, has the experience, and it certainly is something that I have developed, not just over the last 8 years as mayor, but throughout my entire adult life serving this community. So in terms of who do I want to lead this community when I'm gone, I haven't given that a second of thought to give you an honest answer. I enjoy this job very, very much. And again, it's a great honor to be the mayor of the City of Milwaukee.
Great. So speaking of jobs and your position, are you running for governor?
I'm running for mayor, and I'm delighted to be running for mayor of the city that I love. And as far as the recall goes, there are really a lot of chapters left to be written in that book. We don't know when the date is going to be. I'm certain that there are going to be a lot of legal challenges to it, and this could be dragged out for months. And what I've chosen to do, obviously, is to continue the course that I set out, and that is to run for re-election as the mayor of the City of Milwaukee.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. There are a lot of uncertainties, and especially with potential walker opponents, assuming the recall goes through. So what do you say to those who have the concern regarding the uncertainty of whether or not you would run for governor? Their concern over, voting for someone who might be looking at a different position.
Oh, I think people should judge me on the merits of what I've done and what I want to do, which is to continue to create jobs in the city. I also want to focus on public safety, and I'm proud of the progress we have made in public safety over the last 8 years, and in particular over the last 4 years. When Chief Flynn came in, what I was looking for at that time is I was looking for a proactive police chief. I wanted someone who could work with a very diverse population, racially, ethnically, economically diverse population, and someone who could garner the respect of the rank and file of the Milwaukee Police Department. And what we've accomplished in the last 4 years is a significant reduction in crime. And that's something that's important to me. It's important to the city because it does have an impact on economic development and economic growth. And as far as the neighborhoods go, my vision for the city as it pertains to public safety is really pretty straightforward. I want a city where in every single neighborhood during the summer, grandmas can sit on their front porch and watch their grandkids play in the front yard and not have to worry about them. And I think we've made strides in that direction. There are still areas of the city where there's too much crime, but what the police department is doing now is it's using a very data-driven approach, and in those areas where we're seeing crime, it is bringing the resources into those neighborhoods to make them safer. And I can recall last summer being out on a roll call on 29th and Hadley, I think is the corner where we were at, and it was after a particularly rough spell during the summer. And the chief was there, and the rank and file were there, and there were many neighbors that were there. And these were neighbors that were delighted to have the police presence in their neighborhood because they're understanding now that the reason they're there is to make it safer for them, that they want to have a safe neighborhood, and by having the police presence there, they'll have a safe neighborhood. So again, I look at economic growth and jobs, I look at public safety. Those are the two pillars that we're really trying to establish a stronger city on. And we're going to continue to do that as aggressively as we can.
Good, good. And I know there's a recent Milwaukee Magazine article kind of giving more attention to what Chief Flynn is doing regarding focusing on data to combat crime in Milwaukee. But there's also been a lot of attention towards growing with different kind of crime. Last week, there were 2 felony charges against supervisor and city comptroller candidate Johnny Thomas. There are charges against the Milwaukee legislator Senator Spencer Coggs. I just want you to, as well as 2 John Doe investigations going on, or maybe multiple, in Milwaukee right now. I just want you to comment on the current climate of politics in general, and specifically how pervasive is corruption politically in Milwaukee?
Well, I can tell you I was shocked at the allegations against Supervisor Thomas. I was shocked and I was very angry.
Yeah.
Because if they're true, they really go to the core of our democracy, and that is having policymakers make decisions based on the merits and not based on the dollars that they receive. So to me, again, it was a shocking revelation, and I think he did the right thing by suspending his campaign in light of these allegations. With respect to Senator Coggs, that appears to be somewhat of an internal issue with an employee, so I don't know what's going on there. I know that the Government Accountability Board is investigating that. And as it pertains to the governor, the fact that he has had 2 deputy chiefs of staff indicted for crimes, someone who's very, very close to him in terms of constituent relations charged with the crime, and then another person who worked for him charged with a crime. I think that raises some very, very serious questions as to what's going on. And I know, for example, that deputy chief of staff, her office was just 25 feet from his office. And so I think people are concerned about that. And to me, that is troubling. I'd be lying if I told you it's not troubling. But I think it's important that we as public servants earn the public trust. And these allegations obviously put everybody in a bad light. But certainly, I think whether it's the governor and the charges that have been levied to his high-ranking officials that worked in his own personal office, or the comptroller candidate, they're serious charges.
Absolutely. So kind of taking it to a different step, you're known nationally as the hero mayor for the actions that happened in August of 2009 at State Fair Park. Basically, I mean, that's how you are still kind of known, and that's how you would be remembered. How do you want to be remembered, and what do you want to see as your legacy the day you leave office?
Well,
whatever that
I'm
may
not
be?
thinking legacies right now. I think
Okay.
legacies when you're sort of on your checking out, and I'm not planning on checking out of anything right now. But I want this to be a better city. I want to leave this city a better city. I have 4 teenage children, and I want them to have an opportunity to continue their education and to get jobs here. And for young people, whether it's Milwaukee, whether it's Wisconsin, whether it's this nation, I am very concerned about job prospects for young people in this community, in this state, in this country. And I think those of us who are baby boomers or beyond, we have an obligation to create hope in the lives of young people. And that means whether they're teenagers in summer jobs, something I've worked incredibly aggressively on is getting summer jobs for kids. The Job Corps Center that I led the fight for when I was in Congress and now finished as the mayor of the city. The Milwaukee Area Workforce Investment Board, where we're putting resources in to help people get the training they need. Or even our urban forestry program, where we train young African Americans and Hispanics how to work with the city or private employers pruning trees. Those are all commitments to my trying to create jobs for people in this community. And it goes beyond that. It goes to white-collar jobs. And that's why I think our connection with Chicago is important, for example. I affectionately refer to Chicago as one of our finest suburbs. Because for years people have this Chicago envy, and I don't share that envy. My view is let's feed off them and let them feed off us.
Yeah.
And to the extent that this becomes a giant metropolitan area, I'm fine with that. Because we have a lot to offer. They have a lot to offer. Let's benefit from them. But I want my kids to be able to have a job here. And it's not just my biological kids. In a sense, as the mayor, you want all young people to have an opportunity. So that's why we're aggressive in trying to recruit and retain employers. That's why we're working hard to, for example, find people to use the Park East, the Valley, the brewery, the former Tower Automotive site, the Aerotropolis on the south side, where we've worked very, very hard to make sure that that's an area that has economic growth as well. Because for a lot of people coming into our community, that's the spot of first impressions, whether you're coming in by air or rail or boat or the interstate system. We want people to be proud of the city. And recently there was an article that had Milwaukee as one of the 10 best downtowns in America, and that's something we can be proud of.
Yeah.
I think it can be better. I think it can be a lot better, and that's what I'm committed my adult life to do, and that's what I want to continue doing, is making this a better community for all of us.
So if you would say in maybe a sentence or two, Mayor Tom Barrett should be remembered for?
Someone who advanced this city in a challenging time, because we do have challenges, and I know that we have too much poverty, but I'm someone who wants to create opportunity. And I go back to my statement earlier. We have a moral obligation to create hope in the lives of our young children here. And at the end of the day, I want to create more hope for young people in this community.